Every single morning, your brain literally hands you this rare, wide-open window to completely rewire who you are. But let's be honest here, most of us just waste it. We immediately start scrolling on our phones, we stress out about our giant to-do list, or we just hit the snooze button on our own potential. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we're totally reframing your morning. We're not looking at it as some frantic rush to get out the door, but as a really critical neurological window to consciously shape your inner narrative.
Think about it like this. Hitting that snooze button isn't just about losing 10 minutes of sleep. It's actually a massive missed opportunity to program your mind for the day ahead. Because the way you start your morning literally dictates the trajectory of your entire life. No pressure, right?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the brain's golden hour, expecting and welcoming resistance, mastering your control buckets, distancing from your thoughts, the neuroscience of gratitude, and finally, embracing your mortality. Let's get right into it.
All right, Section 1, the brain's golden hour. We're going to look at exactly how to maximize your morning neuroplasticity.
So when you first open your eyes, your cortisol naturally spikes. And while that might sound a little stressful, it actually pairs beautifully with these super relaxed alpha and theta brainwaves. Think of it kind of like the door to your subconscious being propped wide open. At this exact moment, your prefrontal cortex, that highly critical, analytical part of your brain that just loves to overthink and resist new ideas, well, it hasn't fully booted up yet. This means you have a chance to feed empowering beliefs straight into your subconscious without your brain fighting back.
Now, to fill that open subconscious with the right programming, we're leaning heavily on Stoicism. And look, I want to be clear, Stoicism is absolutely not toxic positivity. It's not about suppressing your emotions or, pretending everything is totally fine while you casually sip coffee in a burning room. It's an ancient philosophy focused purely on mastering your inner responses. It is quite literally mental armor for what is, let's face it, a very chaotic modern world.
Moving right along to Pillar 1. Expecting and welcoming resistance.
Because let's be real, the second you leave your bedroom, life gets messy. A rude email is absolutely going to drop in your inbox. Your kid is probably going to act out at the breakfast table. So instead of spiraling, I want you to consider this daily mental repetition, inspired by the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Today, I will meet resistance, and that's not a problem. I welcome it. He wasn't just being a buzzkill here, okay? He was actively forging a mental shield. By anticipating the messiness of daily life right at sunrise, he basically ensured he wouldn't get knocked off balance the second something went wrong.
And what is so fascinating about this is how beautifully it bridges ancient philosophy with modern science. Research from back in 2003 by psychologist Shelley Taylor on stress inoculation proves that when we actively anticipate stress, it actually stops your amygdala, that's your brain's panic center, from completely hijacking your thinking when the pressure mounts. You aren't caught off guard. You're ready.
Which brings us to Pillar 2, mastering your control buckets. Most of us waste like 90% of our daily mental energy just agonizing over things we literally have zero control over. It is such an exhausting way to live. To stop this, our second morning thought comes from the great Stoic Epictetus. I can't control everything, but I can control how I show up. You really need to say this to yourself to build that reflex, to just pause. Whenever anxiety starts to creep in during your day, you want to be able to immediately ask yourself, wait a second, is this actually in my control? The Stoics had this great way of dividing the world into two very strict buckets. Bucket 1, what you control. That's your actions, your choices, and your attitude. And then there's Bucket 2, which you cannot control. That includes other people, the past, and ultimately the outcomes. By intentionally, and I mean ruthlessly, letting go of that uncontrollable bucket, you free up all of your energy to take powerful, focused action on the things you can actually influence.
And guess what? The science completely backs this exact Stoic principle up. Psychologist Julian Rotter coined this concept called the internal locus of control. His research reveals that people who focus strictly inward on their own actions experience significantly higher well-being, way lower anxiety, and a massive increase in motivation and grit. Focusing on your own bucket directly, measurably leads to a significantly better life.
All right, Pillar 3, distancing from your thoughts.
Here's something absolutely crucial we all need to understand. Your brain, it's really just a thought factory. And from a purely evolutionary standpoint, its main job is simply to scare you into staying safely inside your comfort zone, where you can't get hurt. So your third morning repetition is this: I am not my thoughts, I am the thinker of them. You have to remember that you are not the machine, you are the operator of the machine. When a huge wave of self-doubt hits you at 2 p.m., you need to remind yourself that it's just a fleeting, biologically driven thought produced by a scared factory. It's not some dark prophecy about your worth, I promise.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the Stoics handled things. They called this cognitive distancing. It's stepping out of your own mind so you can, read the label from outside the jar. Today, clinical neuroscience calls it mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. It involves literally talking out loud to yourself to distance your true identity from whatever dramatic stories your brain happens to be churning out in that moment.
Moving on to Pillar 4, the neuroscience of gratitude.
Look, I know gratitude can sometimes sound like fluffy woo-woo self-help, but let's strip all that away for a second. In a modern world that is completely addicted to endless consumption and always wanting the next big thing, genuine gratitude is a rebellious, revolutionary act. Your fourth repetition, inspired by Seneca, is super simple. I am grateful for all that I have. Let's be clear though, gratitude doesn't mean faking a smile or ignoring your real problems. It can, and absolutely does, powerfully coexist with grief, with massive struggles, and with a fierce ambition to achieve more. It just means recognizing the absolute enoughness of right now.
If you're ever struggling to find something to be grateful for, I want you to consider this staggering number, 150,000. That is the number of people who do not wake up every single day. 150,000 people were alive yesterday and are literally not here today. This dramatically anchors the most fundamental privilege we have, the one we totally take for granted every single morning, just simply breathing.
So the crucial point here is this. Gratitude physically changes your brain chemistry. It boosts your dopamine and your serotonin. Research from UC Davis and UC Berkeley actually proved that a regular gratitude practice literally rewires your brain, boosting overall optimism by 25%. Oddly enough, it even improves your immune function and reduces inflammatory biomarkers. It takes this seemingly soft concept and grounds it into hard science, building profound physical and mental resilience.
And finally, Pillar 5, embracing your mortality. I know most people run from the idea of death, but acknowledging our impending death, it actually isn't morbid at all. It acts as the ultimate compass for how we live our daily lives. So here is your fifth and final thought for your morning. Life is short, I'm not guaranteed another sunrise, I want to live today like it's my last. This is the famous Stoic concept of memento mori, remember you must die. Marcus Aurelius used this exact thought to wake himself up from living on autopilot. It challenges you to stop acting like you have this infinite amount of time to finally pursue your joy or your purpose.
And again, modern psychology is right there backing this up. A 2017 University of Missouri study found that mortality salience, which is just a fancy way of saying actively contemplating your death, actually increases life satisfaction. It jolts you into the present moment. It clarifies your core values. It literally forces you to confront whatever mediocre situations you're currently tolerating that your soul is just begging you to change. So how do we actually make all of this actionable? I want you to try this 7-day challenge to really capitalize on your brain's naturally suggestible morning state. Wake up, do just 60 seconds of breath work to center yourself, pull out a piece of paper with these 5 phrases written down, and repeat each phrase out loud 10 times. I'm telling you, you will actively rewire your subconscious for resilience before you've even walked out the front door.
So when you look in the mirror tomorrow morning, I really want you to ask yourself, if today was my last day, would I be proud of how I showed up? Let that be the compass that guides your actions today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go take control of your morning.